Zenless Zone Zero is an alright game, but I want great. This is something I always talk to myself about when I'm up playing the game late at night. Zenless Zone Zero has the foundation and the framework to become something more than it is now, something that could easily solidify itself as the top dog in the gacha space, but we're continuing to see a game that doesn't want to step out and try something new or innovate, and I don't necessarily blame them. The game in their eyes, and probably for the majority of you watching this video, the game is fine and doesn't really need any change. They just need to keep releasing cool looking characters every patch, releasing very mid-tier story and a few events, and that'll keep players retained and keep their revenue going up. But for someone who's tired of the same old gacha formula, who wants to see some change within the gacha space, ZZZ could be the ones to stir up the pot. This game needs some work done. It'll always be looked at as the number 2 or 3rd option out of the Hoyo games, but with a few tweaks and changes, I think we could get ZZZ back on the right track and in the forefront of the gacha space like it was in 1.4 with Miyabi's release. So let's go over some things that I think could immediately make a positive impact on ZZZ. The first one is bold, but it's something that I don't think would take too long to implement, and that's player-driven endgame content. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? I want an endgame content that could be created and shared within the community. Similar to Super Mario Maker, how you can create your own levels and share it, that's exactly what I want to see in ZZZ, and it's honestly easier to implement than what you think it is. The perfect example could be Hollow Zero runs. Introduce a player-generated Hollow Zero mode where people can make it an insanely hard or as goofy as possible, and let their friends or the community tackle it. Let the creators throw in unique modifiers, adjust enemy placements, or even throw in some insane time-based objectives, while also throwing in some rewards for players completing other people's creative modes. And watch how of an immediate positive impact this would make on ZZZ. It'd be the first gacha game that I know to ever be implementing something like this. This would not only help player retention, but this would also create a ton of new content that people would create on social media about, which in turn creates more advertisement for the game. This next thing that they absolutely need to change, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this, is their story. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Their story is the worst story out of all the Hoyo games. I'm not saying it's a bad story, but it's certainly not a good one. Out of Genshin, HSR, and Honkai Impact 3rd, I have ZZZ all the way down at the bottom. Hoyoverse games has a tendency to drag on the main plot of the story for years and years before you actually make any real progress within the main plot. They drown you with side plot over and over again until you actually forget the real reason why you're on the journey in the first place. And this same thing happens in ZZZ. Now, maybe this is what ZZZ actually wants. Who knows? All that I know is that me nor the homies are really getting down with it. Now, to be quite honest, I'm not 100% sure how you fix this. All I know is I think we need less bloat and more meat when it comes to the story. Okay, this next thing is a bit biased, so I'll keep it short, but within my inner circle, we all tend to agree on this. And once again, I'll make another reference to the other Hoyo games. Out of Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Honkai Impact 3rd, Zenless Zone Zero's character designs are the worst. Now, I'll give them some grace. It's only year 2 of the game, so things could change as the games listed above have been out way longer than ZZZ, but as of right now, in my brutally honest opinion, they're not the best. I think they need to go to the lab, cook up some better designs, because we all know they're capable of doing so. Just to name a few agents, Yi Zhuan's design was really good, Vivian's design was great, Yuzuha's was great. We see the potential, but I want better designs across the board. But like I mentioned above, this is heavily biased, so you guys let me know down in the comment section below if you agree or disagree. Now, this next thing wouldn't make an immediate positive impact on the game, but would be an overall positive for the game, and that's keeping events as permanent game modes. The one thing that irks me about certain gacha games is when they release banger events, and let's be honest, it's not quite often that they do so, but when it comes up, they get rid of it and motherfuckers never see that shit again. Gacha Players has been saying it since the beginning of time, please keep good events for players to replay. That Fall Guys mode was too damn good to be booted to the curb to never see again. Now, this next one is something we've known has been in the works since the beta, and as of now, have no idea about the status or if it's even coming to the game, and that's co-op. See, co-op in gacha games is hard to pull off, but if pulled off right, it could be a major win for said game. Co-op has been on the minds of ZZZ players for some time now, and I'm not talking about event co-ops or arcade co-ops either. I'm talking about the real in-game combat co-op. We're not sure if it's still going to be a thing, but one thing is for sure, if it ever drops, this will be a massive W for ZZZ if it's pulled off right. The one thing that gacha games lack is playability with friends, and if ZZZ gets their hands on that and it actually turns out to be good, this could potentially open up a lot of players coming back or giving ZZZ a new try. I love co-op, you love co-op, ZZZ devs, make it happen. This next thing is definitely controversial, but we've seen other gacha games do it, so I don't think it would be so far-fetched for ZZZ, and that's to have a skip capability while farming. Me personally, along with friends that also play the game, agree that the game desperately needs to have a skip functionality for you when you are farming. I understand it's a way to keep the player retention, but it's simply just not fun and it's too tedious. If you want players to be retained, add more things in the game such as permanent events as mentioned above, or more endgame modes. It sucks having to farm in this game. I understand runs are only a handful of seconds, but it'd just be much easier and better quality of life if we could just auto it. Now, we've talked about endgame content, we've talked about story, we've talked about permanent events, we talked about multiplayer, we talked about character designs, and we talked about auto farming, so this last thing is about its gacha system. We're slowly starting to see very small change within the gacha games and how the gacha system actually works. Games like Wuthering Waves, Reverse 1999, Theory of Restart are adopting the guaranteed weapon banners method. I think it's time for ZZZ to jump ship and adopt this system. This would be an overall massive W for ZZZ and the community. I think ZZZ definitely needs to be the forefront when it comes to evolving, especially when it comes to their gacha system. With ZZZ showing that they're more free-to-play friendly, this could definitely show a positive light on the game and maybe even entice some players to spend more when they know that their money is going towards something that is guaranteed and not a chance of getting it. But who knows? Maybe I'm just suggesting this for my own biased reasons. Nonetheless, ZZZ is still a solid gacha game. At the end of the day, I just want to see it thrive, and if we continue to see it just do the bare minimum, unfortunately this game will continue to remain average. They have a young and motivated dev team that's dedicated to their player base, which we've seen with their continuous open ear to feedback, so we know for sure they're capable of innovating and reshaping the game for the better. They just haven't taken that leap yet, and it's understandable. I'm sure they want ZZZ as a revenue source for the years to come, so possibly messing up their game again like they did with launch could be something very risky. But also, the game's in year 2, so no need to sound the alarms just yet. If you take a look at some of Hoyo's previous games that were at year 2, they're not that far ahead from ZZZ. All it takes is one patch or one major change and we can see ZZZ back on top again. But regardless, these are some things that I think ZZZ needs to brush up on to be able to get it from an alright game to being a great game. As always folks, I like to make discussion based content, so feel free to share your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know if I'm right and you agree, or if I'm wrong and tell me why. For those of you that might have taken this video as shooting shots at ZZZ, well, you're wrong. In some cases, people that tend to criticize the game most are people who genuinely enjoy the game and want to see it blossom into something special. But nonetheless, my name is Smack, I make ZZZ videos and have recently started branching out more into the gacha space. So if that sounds interesting to you and you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the sub button and turn the notification bell on so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you enjoyed this video, I'm more than positive you'll enjoy either one of these videos on screen. On the left, I decided to try out Genshin Impact as a reformed hater, and let me tell you, that was very interesting. And on the right, I decided to dump 2,000 battery on Alice, and it definitely didn't go as planned. For all you OGs that's been around, your boy's back and expect more consistent uploads and streams. But for now, thank you all for watching. I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace, peace.